Coming back from the weekend on Locked On NHL in Utah, we got a lot that gets you guys caught right back up on. The Tucson hockey is here to stay. The Roadrunners will be staying in southern Arizona. Did we see a potential leaked logo for the first season for NHL Utah? And are we getting closer to what the final four team names or what the exact team name will be for NHL Utah? We'll talk about all that on today's episode of Locked On NHL in Utah.
You are Locked On NHL in Utah, your daily podcast on all things hockey in Utah, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to the show, everybody. This is Locked On NHL in Utah, your daily podcast on the NHL in Utah. I am your host, Robin Leonio, coming back from a few days off, including the weekend. Just needed to get some a little bit of a mental health reset, but we're back in it. I also have to take care of a couple other things too. But we're back in it, getting ready to get you guys caught back up on all the news you might have missed, and just kind of provide my 2 cents on some of the things that are going on in the Utah NHL hockey world. And let's start off the show by talking a little bit about the Roadrunners, because we've been talking about it, kind of having a couple episodes about it over the last couple of weeks, kind of trying to figure out what exactly is going on. And because we're like, okay, are they moving to Mullett Arena or not? Are they going to have a split schedule or not? What is going on? May 30th was an AHL Board of Governors meeting where they were scheduled to meet and talk about the a proposed, quote, relocation of the team, or any kind of update to the schedule or what it might be. We know Alex Morello wanted that, that split schedule. I think, that was like the 22-14 or whatever it was, of Tucson to Tempe games. Kind of have a true, almost true half split. And let's just say Tucson wasn't having it, guys. They weren't having it. The Rio Nuevo, you guys have heard this name come up multiple times. Tom Callahan had brought up that name multiple times in the last couple of weeks. And essentially, they do a lot, they essentially run a whole lot of things of what goes on in downtown Tucson. They had a meeting trying to discuss the situation too the day before on Wednesday, and essentially said, okay, we will agree to this. Here's a counter proposal to your split. And instead, it's like, we'll do a majority of the season. What is it? So we have a 76 game season, so we're looking at what, 38, if I'm correct? Yeah, 38 home games. So we'll do 32 home games in Tucson and 6 home games in Tempe. That is our counter proposal. So it looks like the compromise a little bit is like, okay, we'll allow you to have 6 games, and that was approved. They said, oh yeah, we'll approve this. And the AHL said, okay, we can take care of that too. That's okay for us. And that's what's going to be happening. So the Tucson Roadrunners next year will be staying in Tucson for the majority of the season, with the exception of 6 games at the Mullett Arena in Tempe at ASU's campus. And here's why this is important, and why I think I'm okay with this, and why it will work. Those that have followed the Roadrunners, that know what the Roadrunners schedule looked like, there would always be a massive home game gap in February. If you are from Arizona or just from the Southwest in general, you may or may not know. If you're not into that kind of world, you probably don't. If you are, then cool. Tucson is home to one of the largest gem and mineral shows in the United States. A lot of people come in to Tucson to essentially showcase beautiful, gems and minerals, rocks, all sorts of kind of like things like that. That's, Tucson is a very geology focused, a very geology friendly city. And it's been huge for that. February, a huge chunk of February, but it's about 2.5, maybe weeks are dedicated to that. A smaller portion, about 2 weeks of it, at the Tucson Convention Center, which is home to the Roadrunners. For most of the seasons that the Roadrunners had, they would have to go on the road for quite an extensive period of time because of that. Everyone called it the Gem Show Road Trip because they can't be around during the Gem Show because they don't have a home. This is a kind of a workaround to fix that so they can have a little bit more of an even schedule, so you don't have to worry about that, and you can see a little bit more of what's going of how we're going to see all that breakdown. And I like it. I like it because Tempe gets some games. People, people up here in quote the Valley of Arizona, the Phoenix metropolitan area, they get to see professional hockey for at least a few games of the year. Tucson gets to keep their team, and they can, like I said, they get to keep probably that more even schedule going up. They don't have to worry about the Gem Show road trip anymore. It's just maybe this is the case, and and honestly, if this is exactly how it goes down, I want you guys to mention me on Twitter or X and be like, hey, guess what? You had it right all along. This is exactly how it's going. That the games in Tempe will be at around that time during the Gem Show road trip, because it only makes sense. It only makes sense. Instead of in lieu of the Gem Show road trip, games in Tempe. Keep your home games. Boom, problem solved. That's why I think it works, and I'm actually okay with it. Could I have been selfish and said I want all the games in Tempe because I get to cover the team full time again? Maybe. Part of me could have been, but also could I also have been counter selfish or other half selfish, whatever term you want me to use, for the team, and for say, hey, I spent most of my early adult life and my early career in Tucson, so I would hate to see them lose that. I mentioned that multiple times, and how that's generally what my stance has been. I could have been full on selfish on that end too. I'm like, yeah, no, Tempe gets nothing. This is a compromise I can be happy with. It's not too much of a split where it's someone mentioned to me on Twitter where it's 2 homes is no home. I'd rather have one home with, I will spend a few games over here for blank reason. And then we'll go from there. And that's, I feel like, again, it is the best compromise I can think of. It is the best compromise that I can think of. And Tucson fans, you should be happy because your team's only getting better. You're getting a lot of prospect talent in there. You're keeping the team. And speaking of prospects, we're going to talk about that too. I want to give a brief mention about it before we get to the logo and name talk. But we'll talk about Julian Lutz really quick, though. We're going to get to that right after this. And today's episode is brought to you by eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle, leveled up to peak performance, superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered with over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die. You'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need and all the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay guaranteed fit. Only available to U.S. customers. All right, I want to, touch on this briefly because I feel like it's a really important thing as we're talking about the Tucson Roadrunners, the top quote AAA. If you're a baseball fan, this is the closest we can mention it, as they're like the AAA affiliate. But they're we just say the top affiliate of the NHL Utah club. They're going to be getting a new, an influx, a new bit of talent. We've talked about the influx of talent before. Hey, they're getting Connor Geeky. They're going to be maybe getting Maverick Lamoureux. They're going to be getting lots. Maximilian Zuber was on the team for a little bit. Josh Stone. They're just about to add one more, and from last week, something we didn't get a chance to talk to. I wanted to talk about it with Tom. We didn't get a chance to. Going with Julian Lutz. I'll probably get his opinions on it later on once we get him back on this week. And say, hey, Julian Lutz is now signed to his entry-level deal. He's going to spend most of his rookie year in Tucson, which, again, most are already going to be spending so much time in Tucson. There's a lot of, there's a reason to be a lot for that. Entry-level deal. Spent his last year, his last season playing for Green Bay for the USHL, coming on over from Germany. So if you're wondering where he came from, I think I mentioned his name, Julian Lutz, when he talked about the international game, and looks like. No, he did not. So I was wrong about that. But again, I feel like there are. It's a thing to take a look at and be like, hey, this guy played for. He's got the international experience. He's got, but also the North American experience with 50 games for the Green Bay Gamblers in the USAHL, 68 points in 50 games. That's impressive. Plus 6 games in the playoffs, 2 goals, 2 assists. You're adding. NHL Utah is continuing to add talent, and I've mentioned this before, and Tom has even mentioned it too. If you are a new hockey fan getting in, this is your perfect time to do it because you're about to experience a pretty, a nice up and coming team. Also, if you want to follow the prospects too, really really hone in on those, really dedicate yourself to this team because they will pay you out in the end. Seeing how much, all these people finally come into fruition. Coyotes fans, Arizona hockey fans, you're probably a little bit more in just a state of shock right now. Maybe you're not having fun knowing full well that all the prospects that were signed that were not signed, that were drafted and were slowly developed while the Coyotes were still around, and not being able to see all this finally come to fruition and call it wraps. I can understand some of your frustration, but Utah fans, and if you're a new Utah hockey fan, welcome aboard. You guys are going to be in for a treat. If you are a Utah hockey fan and you're only starting to follow the team now, but you're getting a team, also welcome aboard. You guys are going to be excited. Maybe you only know the core players. You got these prospects coming in. Julian Lutz, just another example of a dude coming in that you guys have all the reason to be excited for. And if you are an Arizona Coyotes fan who did choose to follow the team to Utah, you guys have all the reason to be excited. Again, the theme here is stick around. This team may not be a playoff team year one because, again, Lutz is only going to play in Tucson. Tucson might be. Yeah, they made it to playoffs last year. Got bounced in the first round, unfortunately. But you know what? That's part of how playoffs works. You can be a better team on paper, but I'm rambling. But the point I want to make is watch these prospects slowly get signed and learn about them. We'll probably go in depth on some of these prospects, have a guy come on and say, hey, here's what's going on. Here are these players that it's going to be coming into the system soon. And we'll get to those. We'll get you guys excited to get to know who is going to be on the team. We've been doing profiles all off season long so far. We've only done 2. We'll continue to break down the core players for you guys. Tom and I will do that for you. We'll get to the prospects as well. We'll get to the young guys. Make sure you guys know this team forwards, backwards, sideways, inside out, that you can understand. So, heck, you can, you could be the smartest person in the room when it comes to talking hockey. That's what we hope to do for you guys. Even if you're new to hockey, we want to make sure that potentially you can be the smartest person in the room. Heck, going from not knowing that much hockey at all, if at all, to being that intelligent. That's all I can say. But be on the lookout for these prospects. Julian Lutz, just another one you can add on to the tally. Be excited for it. That's what I'll say about that. Now, really briefly, and again, I said briefly for the Lutz thing, but I kind of went a little bit on a tangent that made me go a little bit longer. But really briefly, I want to talk about this because the NHL Utah season 1 logo was leaked. ? I mean, it was put on, and it was posted very briefly on NHL.com, and the logo was like, oh, we might have something here. And it's just, people have had mixed beliefs about it, and I'm going to see if I can bring it up in just a sec as I'm trying to figure it out. People have mixed beliefs about it, and people are making, a lot of Coyotes fans are making fun of it. And look, say what you guys will. All I'll say is, and as I'll bring it up, it's a temporary logo. If this is really the logo, it's temporary. It says Utah Hockey Club. Were we even surprised? We know what we had, little expectations of the theming going in, of the branding going in, because we knew there wasn't going to be much, right? We knew there wasn't going to be much. And I kind of talked about that in the first week and said, I want to see a lot, but here's what we're limited to. And I want to see more. Color schemes, I'll bring this up. Again, could be very temporary. It seems to be fitting in the color scheme that we've seen from the very first bit when they just said Utah, where it had a little bit of trim of powder blue. That's a possibility. Hey, we could still see a little bit more powder blue. Maybe it's gonna be in the logo, but that's just an example here, guys. It is. I'd like to see powder blue as a color, but I'd like to see maybe a little bit more. I really love this. I would like to see what they go with it, how far they go. And again, this is just maybe a first step, if at all. I mean, again, it was on the NHL website for a very short period of time last week. People talked about it. People made fun of it. People praised it. People went all over about it. But let's remember, and I want to reiterate it because I said it earlier today, and I wanted to say it. I said it last week, and I'll keep saying it until we all remember this. No branding, no full-time branding yet. We don't know the name yet. I'll talk about that in a little bit too. We don't know the logo. We don't know the color, the true colors. Despite this logo having the powder blue, which again, I want to see a little bit more of. We'll see. We'll see what more has to come out of it, but only take this with a grain of salt. And you know what? Maybe even embrace it for year 1, because let's remember this. We did not know that Utah was going to have a hockey team just 2 months ago. we're just barely finding all this out. 2 months ago, we were saying maybe Utah might have a team. It looks like the Coyotes might be moving to Utah, ? People thought he was crazy, dismissing reports, and then it eventually came out a couple weeks after that. But we're almost at that 2 month part after, even since then. Give it time, and we'll slowly figure out a little bit more of what to expect. So we'll that's enough as I'll talk about that. I want to get your thoughts. What do you think about this temporary logo? And again, maybe we'll see it again pop up again. Maybe we'll see a second draft of it. But what do you think of the leaked logo? Are you just going to buy in and be like, hey, I'll take whatever we can for year one, and then we'll just go all out for year 2 and beyond to see what it is? We'll see. We'll see. I want to hear from you. What are your opinions about this leaked, quote, temporary logo for the new NHL Utah club? Just in coming up, though, I do want to talk to you guys about the names, because Ryan Smith said on a program that they're down to 4 names left. What are those 4 names? Are we surprised by it? I want to get my thoughts out, as well as get your thoughts, and we'll do that in just a sec. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. It's winner take all time in the NBA and NHL, and FanDuel is giving you a shot to bring home a win of your own. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 on bets, spreads, money lines, player props, and more. Like I said, I made a bet last summer that the Dallas Stars would win the Stanley Cup. Unfortunately, that's not going to happen. They just got eliminated by the Edmonton Oilers in the Western Conference Finals just last night. Congratulations to them, by the way. Congratulations to the Oilers on making it onto the final. And congrats to the Stars on making it as far as they did. Congrats to everybody for making, for their run in the playoffs. Side note, whatever. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and make every playoff shot count. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. All right. Final 4 names are out. Ryan Smith talked about it. He said they're down to 4. Kind of didn't. We don't know when this round 2 of voting will start, but what we do know, based off of the highest number of votes, are around what the final 4 are, and it's kind of circulated. He said only 2 of the 4 on the program on the radio show or /podcast, but he said it, and he said, all right, we got this, right? This is where we're at right now. Are you ready for it? So the final 4 names, well, guess what turned out to be among the top 2. We got Yeti as one of them, and I believe what did I say? Oh yeah, Mammoth. Yeti and Mammoth are believed to be the top 2 names. So that's the top 2, Yeti and Mammoth. Doesn't surprise me. I feel like those were the 2 of the best names that were in contention. Outlaws, I believe, was among the top 4. It should be among that top 4. So, and again, those that have listened to the show every day for a while know very well that I think Outlaws might be my favorite. Maybe Mammoth might be slowly coming up and taking that away. But I do like Outlaws, and it works. And it seems to be one of the top ones in Blizzard, I think. That's what I was trying to read. I don't have the page up on me, but Blizzard as the other top one, and that one kind of surprised me, I want to say. But you know what? I think we're going closer and closer to really coming into acceptance that the name will be very likely the Utah Yeti. I need to figure out a way to say this, because like I don't want to say it's going to be, but it feels like that's the way we're going. If you want to use the color scheme, I feel like that powder blue could really work for Utah Yeti. Wouldn't know how it might look for an Outlaws team name. Mammoth, maybe. I feel like that could potentially work. But this is but that's what we're seeing though. We're seeing kind of things being put together and kind of puzzles. People have said it multiple times though. Like if it's not like Tom has said it even on the air, if it's anything but the Yeti, he'd be surprised. I feel like a lot of people are at that point. Yeti has consistently been the number one among the public opinion from what it seemed like. And again, I think Mammoth is the only other one that's come close. Outlaws, I think, is also up there again. But those are among the top names. Do you agree with that? And again, I told you what I think. I think those are Blizzard, maybe not so. But at least the other three, Yeti, Mammoth, Outlaws. Do you agree with that? Do we think that that's where that trajectory was the team name in your opinion? Am I wrong in believing that the team very likely will be named the Yeti, the Utah Yeti? It just rolls off the tongue really easily, and it just it can work. I mean, I will say this: we've had I've received some comments from Colorado fans who aren't entirely too happy because they believe all four of those names are not necessarily trademarked, but associated with the Avalanche in some way, with the Yeti being a mascot of the Avalanche for a little bit. Blizzard, of course, being just another like, winter event that happens, versus Avalanche, Mammoth. I really don't know what what some of these people are saying for most of them. I can understand, their opinion on Yeti, based off all that knowledge. But I don't know. What do you think? What will the team name be based off of the probable, very much likely Final Four, with the voting ending, over a week ago now, and figuring out this is where we're at. These are the final names. We're getting closer to knowing what the team name will be. Not only you know what, I want to ask one more thing for you guys. Not only will we see a name soon, but when will we see it? Will we see the new name? Will the new name potentially be announced before the NHL draft? Before NHL free agency period? Before training camp? Or will they keep us in the dark completely until next season because they don't want to rush the brand and they want to surprise everybody? I want to get your opinions. What are they going to do? And with what name? I'd love to get your thoughts on exactly what you think the timeline and what you think the name will be for NHL in Utah, or Utah Hockey Club as well. I'll just say that for Utah Hockey Club as a temporary, because I feel like it's just the easiest. But just saying NHL Utah. Just give me opinions. If you are listening on anywhere you get your podcast, like on Apple, Google, Spotify, anywhere like that, you can just mention me on Twitter /X at Robin_Leano or at LO_NHL Utah. Or just leave a comment on our YouTube page. Thanks at Locked On NHL in Utah. And like I was about to say this, but thanks to all those that helped us make it across the 500 subscriber mark on YouTube. We're just halfway to our goal of 1,000. Let's see if we can hit our 1,000 goal before the end of the calendar year. I'm being a little conservative here. Before the end of the calendar year, I could get lofty and do a little bit more, but let's say the end of the calendar year for now. And then maybe if we're moving up fast, I can move up the timeline and see if I can challenge you guys to hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you know when new episodes drop. If you like what you heard, though, don't forget to leave a review as well. Comment, subscribe if you've yet to already. Like I said, hit that subscribe button. We really love all your support. And just let me know how you're all doing. Interact with us on social media. Like I mentioned, our platforms on Twitter/X. You can also find us on Facebook, facebook.com/LockedOnNHL in Utah, and on Instagram and Threads at LockedOnNHL Utah. Just interact with us. Ask us a question. Send us a direct message. We'll answer any questions you guys have. Directly back, depending on the question is. If it's a really good question, maybe we'll feature it on a future episode of the Locked On NHL in Utah podcast. Thanks again, everyone, for listening to today's episode, and we'll see you guys next time.